Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. And many of you know I just reviewed The Ghost from 1963 and another one of these Mill Creek 50 movie horror box sets. And I got another one here called Pure Terror. I think my dad got me this one. I could be wrong. And the Lon Chaney Jr. one years ago, long time ago. But I've never worked all the way through these. And I kind of pick and choose what actually seems worth it compared to the IMDb scores and the synopsis on IMDb and stuff, just to help myself out a little bit, because I usually know what I'm going to like and what I'm not going to like, and these sets are usually filled with a lot of fluff, like crime and noir films, and I don't know. This set specifically seems like there's a lot more of like 50s, 60s, and 70s films in there, maybe a couple of 80s films too. Nothing super special you're going to be looking out for. But, you know, like junk like Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf from 1972. But this particular review is for Devil's Nightmare from 1971. Apparently it's like an Italian-French movie. I don't really know which one it's supposed to be. Who cares? All I know is the majority of it's dubbed, if not all of it is dubbed. Came out of this set, watched it. It's about an hour and 35 minutes. And this is one of the only films in these sets that actually has some solid, decent quality to me. Like a DVD transfer, not like a VHS to DVD transfer like they usually are. Some of these sets out there can get so bad. If you ever get the War box set, you can see like some of them clearly are a camcorder pointed at a TV and a couple of guys smoking cigarettes are reflected in the glass of the TV. I swear to God, I have one of the War sets of old World War II black and white movies. You can see people reflected in the screen they're recording from. And usually not all the films are like that. This film wasn't like that, but still, you can get a very mixed bag with these box sets. Anyway, getting to The Devil's Nightmare. I didn't know what to expect of this. Apparently it's a slasher giallo film, and I was kind of hoping it would be good. And personally, I kind of found the film entrancing a little bit. Many reasons. Many being very dirty reasons, let's say. But I'll get there. This is a very erotic horror slasher giallo film. A lot of giallo films are slutty anyway, but this is definitely one. Definitely one. I'm not a big giallo guy. I only watched this because it's one of the few things in this box set that actually seemed like it was worth talking about to me. This film is not going to be for everybody. It is not a great movie by any means, but as I said in the beginning of the review, I find it kind of entrancing. It was kind of entertaining, and I thought it was worth the time I spent on it, frankly. It's way goofier than it's going to sound like. Way goofier. Because when I get to the plot, you're not going to care about the plot when you watch this movie. You're just not going to. Even the general concept is kind of a wasted concept in spite of what you get to see in the movie. So anyway, Devil's Nightmare essentially is about like a group of tourists. I think there's 7 of them if I remember correctly. And they have to stay overnight in a creepy, spooky castle out in the middle of nowhere. And apparently they talk at one point, and it takes a long time to get there. I'm going to be honest with you, it's a very slow burn of a film. When it picks up, it gets a little bit better. You're not going to care about characters, outside of one that I'll get to. You're not going to care about anything they have to say because the dialogue is not good. I'm sure if you watched it in the original language, it's not going to be good either because, like I said, the original title of this is not Devil's Nightmare. It's something else in French. You're not going to care about all that. I promise you. This film has some really solid atmosphere, just like The Ghost from 1963, I think is what I said in the previous review from the other box that I talked about. The atmosphere here is very gothic, and I really like that. That really made this movie for me. I can sit through a film that does that. The Legend of Hell House, based on the Richard Matheson novel Hell House, was like that for me when I reviewed it here on the channel. I did not like that movie that much. I never have, probably never will, but the atmosphere is great. It's a spooky movie. I feel like if I had seen this movie as a child, that it would have creeped me out. I probably couldn't have watched it as a child because there's a lot of nudity in this movie. But still, basically, they talk about an urban legend that there was, and the film starts off with a prologue about this. One of the characters in here who's older, I think he's the property owner, he was a Nazi at one point, and he killed his baby girl, like when she was a baby. You get to see that in the beginning of the film. He just stabbed her, threw her baby blanket and everything. And it was pretty gruesome, to be honest with you. Not bloody and gutsy and everything, not really, but just kind of shocking, to be honest with you. But the movie itself, with this group of tourists in the castle thing, there's an urban legend about a succubus, and they describe what a succubus is. And from that point on, you can already tell it's going to be a very erotic film. I think if I remember correctly, before we even got to this part of talking about the succubus, there was an entire, very lengthy, like we're talking 10-minute long scene of two of the characters who are female that are, I think one's bisexual, one is a lesbian, having a very extensive sex scene in the movie. Goes on for a while. Like I said, it's almost softcore porn. I was not expecting that going into this film. But you're not going to care about the characters, as I said. There is one girl who I believe is supposed to be a tourist as well. I don't really remember anything about her character. Turns out she is a redhead, by the way. She's played by a very famous chick, Erica Blank. I don't know who she is. She's freaking hot. She comes up in there, and apparently she is the succubus, wouldn't you know? The lady who walks onto screen wearing lingerie, why would you not be surprised that she wears lingerie the whole film, that she would be the succubus? That's not a plot twist either. That's pretty much, from the get-go, something you'd pick up on, because the first thing she's doing is walking in and flirting with everybody at dinner. And so she basically comes in and is trying to convince all of them to, like, sleep with her, and then she'll kill them. That's the movie. That's the movie, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing else to be said, nothing else to be seen. And when she gets ready to kill people as a succubus, her face changes into this really goofy, like, she kind of looks like Glenn from Seed of Chucky, to be honest with you. It's kind of goofy. Her skin kind of goes green. I guess she's supposed to be, like, rotting or something. I don't know. It's pretty stupid. But the movie was very odd how you could watch it and not be entertained by it. It was very slow, like I said, for a while, but it's the atmosphere, it's the beautiful castle they shot and the decorations inside of it and whatnot. I loved all that. I don't care about the characters in this movie. I don't care about any of that shit. It's the succubus woman that's super hot, and it's the atmosphere that makes this movie super fun to watch, in my opinion. There's not really any memorable kills. There's a lot of stupid shit that it's kind of got some religious undertones to it. These other characters, you could make an argument that they're basically walking, talking versions of the 7 deadly sins and examples of those things. So it's not like a preaching Jesus movie by the end of it, but it was cool for what it had to do with that. I just wish the kills were more memorable, you know what I mean? But there is some tension in here when it comes to those setups to kill people. I kind of enjoyed that part. It was kind of nice. But it's not going to be a movie for everybody. Like I said, it's just not going to be something that everybody's going to be talking about or raving about in the comments. Probably won't get a whole lot of views in general on this video because no one probably remembers this exists. But it surprises me how many reviews are on YouTube for this movie. You look at Letterboxd or IMDb, there's a lot of reviews on those two websites for this movie. Apparently it's upheld as some kind of classic. It's got to be a cult classic, because there's no reason anybody on the planet would rewatch this outside of Erica Blank and her body. That's it. That's the only reason you'd watch this movie. But I got to tell you, though, the music in here, they have, like, a song that you could call the theme song of this movie, I guess. It's super cool. I really like it. The instruments they use for it and stuff, I cannot place what it reminds me of. But it's in the beginning of the movie, and it's especially at the end of the film and really ends the movie on a creepy note, in my opinion. But when they use some of the vocal tracks of the woman singing in that song, I can't tell if she's singing in English or another language. Doesn't matter. But they take the vocal track and put it to a little bit different music during the movie, and it's terrible. And it annoys me because it just goes on and on and on. They could be investigating a murder in another room or something. Anybody. I don't care who it is. Or watching the succubus go from room to room trying to seduce people. And you'll just have this woman humming noise. And it got so old so quick. But outside of that, again, the beginning of the song from the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, fantastic. Loved that. That was great. Really set up the atmosphere for the beginning of the film, despite it taking so long to get the ball down the road. But I liked this film. It's not that bad. It's just not going to be for everybody. And again, there's a lot of nudity in here. that gets really, really overdone with the lesbian sex scene and stuff that just goes on forever. But yeah, and there's also this one scene too I gotta talk about too. There's a guy in here that could rival the Dennis Quaid substance scene where Dennis Quaid was eating. This guy in this movie, one of his ways of getting seduced is because he's a glutton, but he's like half my size. But he's eating like meat, and the camera zooms in near his mouth, and while he's eating these big chunks of meat, then he'll like rub his lips, and it's like, dude, stop. Why do we have to keep watching this for like 5 minutes of this dude eat like this? It's like watching me eat. Nobody wants to do that. You know what I mean? It's weird and it's bizarre, and why does it have to be in here? It's not even a creative thing. Even for its day, I don't think it was creative. It's just fucking gross. But anyway, when it comes to this movie, Devil's Nightmare, that I keep forgetting the title of because it's kind of bizarre why it's called that, I don't understand. It's not a great film by any means. It's got some interesting moments. Probably won't forget a lot of those moments, especially the ending. The ending was kind of dark, but it was kind of like a typical thing we see a lot of now with movies that end up where this movie ends up by the end. It's not a great movie, but if you want something different to watch this, like on Tubi or YouTube or something, give this a shot some night. If you just want something spooky and gothic, but do not let your kids be in the room. Just don't do that. It's way too adult for them, despite the lack of blood and gore. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. So anyway, if I had to rate Devil's Nightmare on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give this probably like a 3 out of 5 stars. That's about as best as I can do. But I would love to hear what you all have to say about it down below if you've seen the movie. A lot of people are really positive about this movie, surprisingly enough, and I'm a little shocked by that, to be honest. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you all have to say about that and about these 50 movie box sets once again. Is this one of the worst ones? Let me know what you think about this too. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. I'll catch you later. God bless you, and goodbye.